Immerse me in your splendour, everybody. Welcome to the Football Ramble. Arsenal won in Seville and Harry Maguire scored. It's Wednesday, 25th of October. I'm Marcus Speller.
I'm Luke Moore.
I'm Jim Campbell.
And I'm Pete Donaldson.
Hello, everybody. Good to have you on this wonderful Wednesday. Thanks to friend of the Ramble, Brett, for sending us today's intro line. Now then, on to the Champions League. What a night, dare I say, for England.
So how are you going to start this? Well, we knew you were going to start.
It was
like this.
awful to see Harry Maguire score.
Why?
Just because I'm pleased for him.
England's sunflower.
It's not just him. Jude Bellingham with another winner.
Yeah.
Harry Kane got in on the act.
There we go.
Okay,
Maguire,
well,
there's
that's
your
all
spine.
right,
Less
fine.
surprising for them two, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're two of the best players in the world.
Just chipping in.
Yeah, doing their bit to be the support act to Harry Maguire's main event.
All players on
But
form.
There's your spine.
No beef with Maguire.
Shouldn't be.
Just unbearable stuff from Speller. You got to work with him all morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's the matter?
You know what the
I
matter
want the
is.
best for the
Cat that got
country.
the dream.
I want the best for us.
Is that why you've got another ready deal for Harry Maguire to sign a new contract with Man United?
That'll do. That'll do. Manchester United won FC Copenhagen 0. A big fat 0 for the boys from Denmark. But yes, Maguire scored the winning goal. Jim, I was worried after the jubilant celebrations that it was going to be given offside.
Yeah.
And presumably you were too.
No, I
Stunned you into
was
silence.
watching the Arsenal game, obviously, so
Oh,
I wasn't
well,
worried
never
about
mind.
that.
Okay.
Let's move on then.
Right,
I very
you've-
much
Thank you, Peter.
I very much enjoyed the conduct of all of the goalkeepers in this match. It was very enjoyable.
I totally agree with you there.
It was a
some
real
fine
goalkeeping.
keeping.
There was some fine goalkeeping in this match.
It's safe to say Onana would be the one that would take the
Oh,
plaudits.
What a
I think so.
save.
What a peach.
You saw that, did you, Jim?
Yeah, I can't watch two
He's
games at
peering-
once, can
he's
I?
lifting
This
up
can't
his
be a
li-
revelation to anyone.
His little turtle shell going, ooh, what's going on over there?
I think Andy Russell would disagree.
Andy Russell might disagree with that,
Andy
yeah, but
Russell
he's a
would
big
disagree.
floating head in a jar, isn't he?
Andy
He's a
watching-
multi-screen mummy.
Andy watching two games at once is a quiet night off the football.
And the thing is, he's at one of the games when he's
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
He said, can you, on the big screen at FC Wimbledon, can you put the Galatasaray game on?
Is it even a check? Is it even a?
There's
check-
no big screen at FC Wimbledon.
Is it even a queue to join a plane if Andy's not standing in front of you with a game on an iPad? Maguire, it would have been cruel to disallow that Harry Maguire goal, wouldn't
Very
it, after
cruel.
what the man's been through.
Yes.
Unless it was offside, in
it
which
was-
case it would have been absolutely reasonable.
Something can be reasonable and cruel, though, can't it, Jim?
This is
Well, I mean,
true.
bearing in mind the refereeing was a little bit patchy at times because the referee, I believe, did blow up at like 44.5 minutes. Or
Did he
something.
really?
44,
I didn't notice
45.
that.
44, 45 in the
Oh, weren't you
first-
watching?
In the first half, 44, 45.
I wouldn't bring that argument to the table if I was you, Jim.
Well, the referee wasn't watching.
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he thought, sod this, I want to see the last few minutes of the Arsenal game. The first half.
And the brasses in the dressing room.
Indeed, yeah. It was, it was a funny one because, Manchester United just really sort of, what would you say, scraping to a victory with that last minute or injury time penalty save against Copenhagen, who are an inferior team. You know, it shouldn't spark jubilant celebrations, but this is what football do to you, everybody.
Yeah.
And of course, it was the first home game since the passing of the great Sir Bobby Charlton. So it was, you know, a lot of it was great to see the Copenhagen fans chanting there's only one Bobby Charlton as well. So there was
Ten Hag was very involved in the whole kind of like press before and
Yeah.
talking.
I think you have to. You're a club at that size and you're the current
Yeah.
custodian of it. You need to, don't you? There's no
Exactly.
choice, really.
And also as well, Manchester United not having the best of times, so a win's a win's a win. But in the manner of winning it like that, Jim, with that last gasp penalty save, you know, you are going to celebrate.
Oh, you've got to ignore the
that's what
celebration
football's about.
police. You just got to
Oh,
ignore
fuck
them
them.
at every
Yeah,
turn.
you do.
Of course. I mean, imagine if Onana saves that penalty and everyone just like gives him a thumbs up and goes, cool. Like, final whistle,
Or-
everyone just trudges off.
A tribute to Bobby Charlton. Everyone just shakes hands.
Yeah, they shrugged their shoulders and went, well, a win's a win's a win.
Has a cigarette.
But the other thing about it is obviously it's got to be contextual, and a lot of that kind of celebration police stuff is just an idiot like Piers Morgan needing some attention for the evening.
Richard Keys as well.
Keys as well.
Keys as well.
He won't miss out. Don't worry about that.
No.
But mate, in context, actually, despite the size of club Man United are, they didn't win that game last night. I mean, they're in real serious danger of not
Yeah.
getting out of the group.
I
So
know,
it's a
yeah.
massive moment for them.
And
Of
also,
course.
the keeper looked like a baddie in that mask. So
he
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
he just wears that now forever now.
He made some
apparently.
great saves.
He did make some great
Do you
saves.
not reckon that must affect his peripheral vision?
It looks very
Surely
much like
they're
it would
designed
do.
not to, though, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
Because you know, your eyes can see. Human eyes can see. I think 5 or 10% or what's degrees behind, further back than you think.
But they're angled, aren't they, the glasses? They're not.
Well, just what you think, I suppose.
Depends what you
Keep
think.
it adjusted until you see the back of your head.
Tell us more, Luke.
So you think that you could just see like that?
Yeah.
This is not great for a listener.
I like it when he.
Hang on.
No,
you're,
but
you're right. I can see just behind me now. I never knew I could
You just
do
never
that.
look that way. No, you can see.
Things people are just pointing at you.
So people think you can only see 180 degrees in front of you.
Yeah.
But actually you can see a few
Further
degrees
back,
back.
yeah.
And so that's why I'm wondering whether the mask with its eye holes cut out, maybe it needs to cut it back a bit. Have I fucking lost it?
Yeah.
It's just like one of my stories. I'm
Sorry,
enjoying
yeah.
it. Is
I
this
was
what
gonna
I
say,
sound like?
If Pete was saying this, you'd be ripping it to shreds.
I'm only talking to you because these two have got glasses. They know nothing about it.
Unbelievable.
I can't see anything anyway.
If you put glasses on over the mask, that would look mad, wouldn't it?
That would look mad.
That'd be great.
If you put a top hat on, he'd look mad.
I can't
This is
believe.
what I'm
Do you
wearing.
what, Peter? What if the goalkeeper was wearing boxing gloves? Would you think that would be a
Yeah, I
bit
think that, again, mad. Game's
In
gone
my
mad.
defence, I knew I was playing sport today and I had to wear a pair of gloves.
I have brought gloves. Have I or have I not brought gloves?
Yeah. He's wearing
Do
golf
they,
spikes.
does it say UFC on them or not?
Is it surprising that more goalkeepers don't wear like an Edgar Davids type set of goggles?
Why is that
What do you mean?
surprising?
Like, why?
Because you'd think that goalkeepers, even if they've got a tiny fraction of
Sunshine.
less,
in your eyes.
of less kind of perfect vision, like
Yeah.
2020,
Yeah.
they want to have that corrected in some way.
Have you heard of
Because they're
contact
reacting
lenses?
more than anyone else.
Contact lenses.
Huh?
You heard of contact lenses before?
I have heard of them. But I'm not,
They work. Let us defer to Pete and Jim here.
There's some in the bathroom. I've got no course to use them. I've never understood why you don't get sort of, like not sunglasses material, but like sort of darkened contact lenses.
Yes.
Why don't you get darkened
What, so
contact
you
lenses?
can have completely black eyes?
Well, no.
And
Well,
look
I mean that
scary.
would be what it looked like, but also you could have little sunglass
Well, like
eyes.
sunglass-
You
yeah,
could
I
look
guess-
at stare at the sun if you want.
have we all lost
Very
it?
focal ones?
I don't think it was.
Or what they called?
Very focal. Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
you would need them under the lights at Old Trafford, though.
No.
Which is when this
They're
game did
crumbling.
take
Half of them are
place.
off.
Did they win the game?
Did
The goalkeeper with the mask go home with anything? He didn't.
That's true.
Half
Well,
of
it
those
wasn't-
filaments are off.
But that wasn't due to him, though, was it?
No, I
it was
suppose
a great header from
Due
Maguire.
to Hazard Maguire.
No saving that. And what was nice as well is that your old friend Jim Mesut Ozil chipped in on X saying Harry Maguire and Andre Onana deserved this.
He didn't chip it. He struck it into the ground and it went in beautifully.
There you go. Yeah, so, or he slipped it through.
He also said silencing their haters.
Yes, of which I'm looking at some.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But I think Andre Nana's done really badly to go in the same sentence as that because he's actually good. Yeah, he's had a bad run of form, but he's good.
But he's had some mistakes, hasn't he? Obviously, as a goalkeeper, they punish you a bit more. But
Do you think Garnacho helps him out a little bit? Give kicking
with
the
the
shit
old,
out of the
yeah,
French spot?
that was naughty, wasn't it?
No one even noticed that. It was like a proper little naughty schoolboy.
It was, yeah.
Well, who
got
would
away
have
with it
thought?
there.
A young Argentinian full of vigour and vim would have done such
You're
a
still
thing.
thinking about that last minute winner at Craven Cottage, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Maradona's handball.
Terry Butcher, is that you?
Ah,
Is Terry Butcher still with us? He is, isn't
Yes.
he? Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
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 Okay, good. Well, I'm just checking.
Yeah, good place to check.
Yeah,
Who's the one who always talks about stuff that he probably shouldn't
Peter
do?
Shilton.
any
Schultz,
member
yeah.
of the World Cup 90 squad that isn't Gary Lineker.
You'll
always Schultz.
find Terry Butcher on one of those like terrible programs where they go around haunted houses looking for ghosts, searching for Maradona so he can wring his neck.
With Pete in the background as just a punter who fancied it.
Yeah.
We met Terry Butcher. He was a lovely chap.
He wasn't. He was a dickhead. He was a dickhead.
Well, I sat down to interview him and he was lovely.
Right.
Fine, okay. I wasn't that bit.
Fine.
Okay.
But the bit I was at, he was a knob.
Yeah. Well, I tipped
Same
him off
car?
about you.
Yes.
Come on, Peter.
You know what they say?
I really want to
Same
talk.
fucking car.
Same car,
Yes.
Terry.
All right, Jake Humphreys.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Manchester United if we can. It's been reported that David De Gea had met up with some of the Man United players before the game.
Yeah, it's Nelson the dog stuff, isn't it?
He is,
Yeah.
It is big Nelson the dog stuff.
He's not going to phone ahead.
How's the current guy doing?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why. A
Bit of
more,
dinner before the match. We've got to play.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be? I'll come to you.
I'll be in the corner
Andy
with Andy Carroll.
Carroll
Yeah.
lives to us,
But ultimately, it's a good win for Manchester United because, as you say, I mean, they lost their previous game in the Champions League to Galatasaray, of course, and it's not a gimme in the competition.
No.
So, I mean, they'll be disappointed. I think Ten Hag said, disappointed that they didn't go on and get the second, which perhaps they should have done.
They've not looked convincing, have they? Andy and I talked about them against Sheffield United, the game which they won, but they didn't look great. They've cobbled together 3 wins on the spin now. They were on the wrong end of the odd goal against Bayern Munich and Galatasaray. The games they've got left in the Champions League, Bayern Munich at home, that's obviously going to be tough.
Yeah.
Because Harry Kane's going to score a hat-trick and an amazing episode of here's what you could have won.
Mm.
And then they're away at Galatasaray,
Always
obviously tough.
Welcome to hell.
And away at Copenhagen, who they've just narrowly beaten. So, it really is. If you're a club the size of Man United, and I know they've had it a little bit tough in recent years, in a weird way, I don't know if you guys will feel the same about this. If they have like a shitty season domestically, and it's like, they've had an off year, they're in transition, they don't get into the Champions League. In a way, that's kind of a little bit more understandable than not getting through your group in the Champions League because they're Manchester United and they've got such a tradition in European football now.
I think Bayern did them a solid last night, beating Galatasaray. You think, fine, okay, Bayern, off you go and win the group. 3 wins out of 3. And Manchester United will be hoping it between them and Galatasaray, unless Copenhagen can do something. But Copenhagen, I think, have still got to play. Would they have Bayern Munich twice? Or maybe Bayern Munich once. Either or, you would fancy the second spot to go to.
Yeah, Galatasaray still got to go to Munich. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. I love the fact that in the Galatasaray, they've beat by Bayern, but I love the fact in that guy that Marocada gets a penalty. Obviously missed that one at Old Trafford. And he panankas it. And he pulls off.
Absolutely
it demands just
Box
sheer
office.
entertaining.
Even when he missed that penalty, he scored up afterwards.
Indeed.
It's out of his mind straight away, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. But I mean,
because there's not much going on up there.
Yeah. But it obviously he was involved in that penalty when his teammate passed to him and he missed at Old Trafford, and he's just thinking,
yeah, but it's very.
I've got to get back on the
He's
wagon.
done a few
I've got to
Panenkas in his time.
Yeah.
If you were going to bet when the next Panenka was coming and Icardi was standing up, you'd be like, it's
probably
going to be him, isn't it?
But it's the fact is, though, that he's got to get back on the wagon.
Right.
Give me the penalty.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do this.
It might also be that taking a penalty in a high pressure situation like that is still less stressful than his home life.
Yeah, maybe that's
it's
it.
good to be out of the house, isn't it?
Or it's very rare that two separate thoughts come into contact with each other. I would say.
Well, either or, he pulled it off.
But on your Man United thing, just very quickly, do you? Because I don't. The reason I'm saying what I'm saying on this situation, we read the group they're in. It's not a tough group, is it? I mean, Bayern Munich, Bayern Munich, fine. You're always going to get a difficult team, probably. Other than that, I mean, it could be worse. I mean, look what Newcastle have got to deal with.
Of course.
There's other tougher groups out there. It's not a Man City group.
No, you're looking for a result against Bayern one way or the other, and to essentially come second as a reasonable
ambition
kind of endeavour. There.
Man City and Arsenal usually get the nice groups in the Champions League. Would you say?
Yeah, I was surprised that Arsenal's group was so kind on paper this time because they've been out of it for so long.
Yeah.
It's all on the coefficient, isn't it? Yeah, but that has often historically been the case. Although City had to work for that, didn't they?
Yeah, they
did.
did.
It's because of how the coefficient works.
Yeah, you kind of build it up to be fair.
I would say on Man United, I think this, although it was a fairly underwhelming 1-0 win at home where they survived a bit of late drama, moments are so big in terms of the momentum of a season and even players' careers at clubs. And Onana and Maguire have both needed one, and they've both got one there. And this could be really, really big for just essentially both of them being on a positive trajectory now. Like anger is a thing you can use to fuel yourself. And I think there was a feeling of that from both of those players where they've sort of proved a little bit of a point, and it could be something they really need. It feels like they need a bit of fuel, doesn't it? It's all a bit disjointed.
You're right. Yeah.
It definitely feels like a platform for Onana. And did you see, because he's found it tough, and we all know he's a great goalkeeper, but he's found it really tough. Did you see what he shouted in celebration when he saved it as well?
Come on.
Nice it. He shouted nice it, Pete.
Did not shout nice it. Because he would be contributing many different trademarks.
Yeah.
But,
that was quick work.
Very quick work.
You only coined it on Monday.
Very unlike you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Very unlike you.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Manchester United, I think that they need to show a bit more grit and whatnot. Could take a leaf out of their
Here we go.
former manager José Mourinho's book, could they not? Apparently the Roma ball boys were... Well, not Roma ball boys, that would be particularly harsh if they just fined them. Roma were given a €10,000 fine due to their ball boys being too slow in the final minutes of the game against
Well, the
Monza.
ball boys often are youth players, aren't they? So Jose might be like, here's a lesson for you, lads.
Yeah.
Cough up.
Do you remember when he gave a ball boy an assist at Spurs?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Right, yeah.
It's like,
Oh, yeah.
Jose, you can't do that.
He also Roma won in the last minute against Monza, and he got
His reaction.
They won. Stefan Al-Sharawi scored in a goal so late
Yeah.
that it basically won them the game. And rather than just celebrating with his team, Jose Mourinho got sent off for going up to the Monza manager, rubbing his eyes, pretending to cry. The man's like, he's not a young man.
It's
Mourinho.
so good.
Do you know what
And
I mean?
it's Monza.
Yeah.
It was away to Real Madrid.
Monza.
They were at home to Monza.
You're a credit card.
Exactly.
Good God.
Yeah.
He's 60 years old.
It's superb.
Yeah.
He'll
Great.
be doing that for the rest of his life.
It's brilliant.
And we love it, Jim.
He's been doing the hits a long time. Although he's in the third season now, isn't he? So he's probably going to move on soon.
I think we're seeing different. I think I think he likes it. He's that old man. He's like, no, I found a chair that I like to sit in.
We think this about him a lot, though, don't we?
that's
I think he'll be Spurs manager from about April. Steer them to a really hard, battling, boring, shit on a stick 6th place.
God, I tell you what, that seems incredibly unlikely right now.
Doesn't it?
But you never know. Jim Campbell, let's go to Andalusia now. Sevilla 1, Arsenal 2. A good win for Arsenal. Obviously losing their previous match on the road in the Champions League, but a welcome 3 points.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was playing Switch for most of it, but I hear it was good. No, it was really, really hard fought, actually, and it was quite a stodgy game. Other than the home game against PSV at the beginning, the 2 away games have been in that pattern, quite stodgy. Lens were excellent, and Arsenal sort of struggled to break them down. And I'm worried it might go that way again. But
that's the way to play it against
moment
Arsenal.
Of magic,
isn't it? I mean, I think that people will look at Arsenal and they'll think, let's stodge it up, and and all those kind of things, because Lens were brilliant. I mean, but the atmosphere in that place, back in the Champions League after a while. And I think previously, years ago, we got a famous result against Arsenal, if my memory serves me well. Forgive me if that's wrong.
Yeah, at Wembley.
That's right, yeah. 1-0, I think it was. And then in Sevilla, we know what Sevilla are capable in Europe, although, it is the Champions League, not the Europa League, so you got a chance. Mm-hmm. And they took it. But Gabriel Jesus, we'll start with the assist.
Yeah.
Jim, I put it to you. That turn was Hal Robson-Kanu-esque.
It was amazing.
It took 4 or 5 players out of the game.
Utterly
across
glorious.
About 70
Is that the
metres.
best Cruyff turn since Big Hal?
It was brilliant. It didn't get enough credit because of the way Martinelli ran the length of the pitch and round the
Such
keeper,
a
which is
mature
also
finish.
great. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because he went to shoot. He went to. I don't think I'll just take it past.
It's actually in sort of a bit of a contrast to the Garnacho one for Man United.
Yes.
And that's not to dig Garnacho out. Obviously, he's a younger
dig him
player.
out if you want.
But it's
dig him out like a penalty spot.
Yeah, actually, that's 1-1. He deserves it. It's about having that maturity, isn't it? To wait and to wait and to wait and to actually, even though you've got defenders bearing down on you, to not accelerate too much and pick your moment perfectly. And he did it so well. And then Jesus' goal was fantastic as well. Just Sevilla they weren't giving a huge amount away, so he had to craft something himself and do something a bit special.
That was a brilliant goal as well.
It was a beauty. I mean, for the defender, don't put it onto his right foot. But again, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, there was a lot of players in front of him. It's a difficult thing to pull off.
He said he's got a scan, so see you in January.
He twanged a hammy. He says he doesn't think it's that bad, but who knows? We've all seen these situations.
Let's leave it to the doctor.
Exactly. Yeah.
But a very good win. David Raya started in goal for Arsenal.
Oh, big punch party at times.
Oh, that was so good.
I don't know.
That could have overshadowed things, couldn't it?
It was like he was playing in boxing gloves towards the end.
He made a great save, which perhaps maybe one or two people missed, because I've watched the replay a few times, but the one where it was pinged off the crossbar and it was given offside, but he got fingers to that.
Yeah,
so we should say that was a very, very good save.
We legally have to say that was a good save.
Oh, absolutely.
It was up there with the
because
save.
he's got Polaroids of us, hasn't he?
The save of the night was the Copenhagen keeper, really quick down low to his right through a crowd of players. That was a save of the night.
But in terms of headlines, it was Onana save for the penalty. You'd say.
It was, but that just seemed like such a tough save to make, though, the one the Copenhagen keeper made. But that Raya save was good because it's one of those saves where you only really properly noticed it if you watched it a few times. It's a tiny touch, but it did everything it needed
So
to
it
do.
seems now that if Ray's starting the big games for Arsenal, he's starting in the Champions League, this idea of switching the goalkeepers around seems to be getting less and less. And
I've been telling you this for weeks. I've literally been telling you this for weeks. Ramsdale's not going to play for Arsenal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
you're the only person to have thought that as well.
Yeah,
well, I
the
did
whole
say it for
country,
weeks and weeks. I said it.
Anyway, Jim, but there is some noise. The right-wing media and commentators seem to think that
GB News at the Ramble.
Yeah.
But Chelsea are reportedly interested in Ramsdale.
Is that just because he's a human male of fighting age?
Yeah. Chelsea are conscripting. Chelsea are fucking doing a draft.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It could be. Speaking of goalkeepers and Chelsea, it's nice to see Kepa doing bits in Champions League, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
Right.
Of course. What's
There we
wrong with
are.
that?
Nothing's wrong with that.
He went for about a month and a half of not making a single save.
You were saying for weeks that he was good enough to play for Real Madrid, weren't you?
I pointed it out. That's all I did. I pointed it out.
That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
Statler and Waldorf over
And
there.
he was mean to Smokey Morris as well. Let's not forget that.
Let's not forget that.
In the League Cup final, he was mean to Smokey Morris.
Come off, would he?
I think there was a miscommunication. But anyway, it's all ancient history now. But Arsenal, they could qualify for the last 16 with a win in their next game, obviously, depending on results elsewhere. How deep do you think Arsenal could go in the competition, Jim?
How deep can you go?
Well, I
can
think-
you go? How deep
Let
can
him-
you go?
That's their official song for
Let
the
him
Champions League.
finish. You carry on for as long as you want.
No, it's all right. I'm
Okay, it's
now.
done. Okay.
Well, it's tempting to answer that question based on sort of historic Champions League form, but it's been such a long time since we're in it. It's hard to say. I think if Arsenal come up against a Bayern or a Real Madrid or whoever that is going to be, we simply have no frame of reference of how Arteta's team will do against those.
So last 16 then.
Last 16 quarterfinals. I would say.
okay,
I think,
okay,
but
okay.
actually, this season is about re-establishing themselves there.
Battered in the second round by Bayern Munich, little trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
We'd all enjoy that.
I would hate that.
H would love that, wouldn't he?
I would hate that.
You would, yeah.
Um,
Well, when Spurs win the league, H isn't going to like that very much.
It's just written all over,
Oh,
isn't it?
speaking of that, there was a list published by FIFA recently of all the official
was.
agents in the game. Charlie wasn't even on it. He
Oh.
wasn't there.
you had
Left
to
him
pass
on
an
it.
exam, didn't you?
Yeah.
Apparently,
Pass the exam.
apparently there's been a huge reduction in the amount of people on that list because
that
of this
right?
They
exam.
don't want to do
Do
the
they-
They're
exam.
trying to get rid of all the middlemen, I think.
Do they have to like?
Is it like a CBT test? You do it for 2 years and then.
No, Charlie
Come back.
Kane. Charlie Kane went on a speed awareness course on Zoom and thought it was that. He was confused why the questions were so odd.
I think it's more if your car's off the road.
I'm
and
a
you-
qualified scuba diver now, though, so...
Yeah.
If your car's off the road and you get a swarm, don't you?
Yeah.
Swan.
And I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
basically Tottenham Hotspur just said. Look, Charlie, put this badge on. You're not operating.
But it was,
Sit at
but it was like kind of like when I had a when
It's
it,
badge on.
when
Not
I-
the first time he's heard that this week.
when I had a radio show and an agent. He only ever did one contract. I couldn't work anywhere else.
Yeah.
So like, and you negotiated it every year or 2 years. So what's the
Love
point?
it, love
What's
it.
the point in having a bloody agent?
Why are you asking us this? Can I
What's
just...
the point of having an
Are you
agent?
just realising that now?
Partridge over there. When I had a radio show and an agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I
what
give
days they
some?
were.
Can I give some credit to Ben White's Logan Paul Halloween costume that he seems to be rocking now?
Yeah, he's got...
right,
his
okay, yeah,
haircut's
yeah.
terrible.
Oh, come on.
Come on, come on.
He's a
Jim's
young
happy
man.
with that.
He's a young man having fun. Maybe I just need to check my privilege.
indeed.
Yeah.
You've been saying that for weeks, to be fair. Gentlemen, before we go for a break, there was some sad news yesterday. Everton chairman Bill Kenwright passed away, aged 78. Wayne Rooney was amongst those to pay tribute, saying he had a huge impact on my career. Which, again, we lost Sir Bobby Charlton, and one of these, prominent people in football is no longer there.
Yeah, and I think not really the time now to go over Everton's more recent travails because it's not fair when a man's passed away. But one thing you could say about Bill Kenwright is a massive Everton fan.
Mm-hmm.
Lived a dream basically of running the club that he's supported his whole life. Clearly, whatever people think of his decisions, whatever he did and didn't do, he was clearly doing it with the club, best interest at heart because he was a huge fan of it. And I also have a personal amount of huge respect for him for what he's able to achieve given the background he came from. Proper kind of working class type.
It's a story you don't see very often.
No,
anymore,
you
do
don't, and that's the thing, Pete, isn't it? He's a working class guy, did really well, big love for the arts, which is of course where he made all his money, and is able to run his own the club he supports at a very, very high level, Premier League level. Really, that is a thing of the past now. I mean,
It is, yeah.
Local businessmen don't run their football clubs really at Premier League level at all. So I mean, it's just another step along the line of football going away from that kind of direction, which is really sad. So condolences to him and his family and friends, of course.
Absolutely. Let's have a quick break.
Ollie, I know it's half time in the tie, but that's an incredible advantage. Do you feel like the job is done?
No, don't feel like the job is done, but it was a good job done.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. It's that little laugh at the end,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Tottenham Hotspur got the job done on Monday night against Fulham, scraping a 2-0 win.
Yeah, fuming, were you?
Yes, I was.
You were fuming in the WhatsApp group because I slagged off Calvin Bassey.
You said he'd been good for Rangers.
Yeah, he was good for Rangers, hence he got his move for Ajax. And then Andy came in with some sort of punk opinion about his time at Ajax.
opinion.
Based on hard facts and evidence, yeah. But he's not playing for Rangers anymore, crucially, is he?
He's not playing for them anymore. And he made a couple of errors in...
Until January when he goes back there on loan.
Yeah, I suppose it's 2-0 win against Fulham. But it was all really about Tottenham Hotspur that night. 23 points in their first 9 games under Ange Postecoglou, who's made the best start to a season of any new Premier League manager.
Yeah, he overtakes Gus Hiddink and Mike Walker, and for Spurs he overtakes Tim Sherwood. So let's hope in the future he's spoken of in the same breath as Tim Sherwood and Mike Walker.
Let's hope in the future he ain't never felt this bad ever.
Oh, man. It's lovely for Tim Sherwood to get a footballing mensch. Doesn't often happen, of course.
Despite his continually annoying appearances on Soccer Saturday.
Yeah, but yes, good win for Spurs.
This
though,
does
doesn't
feel different, doesn't it?
It does feel a lot different.
It's fair to say.
They've
It is very
been
fair to say.
fantastic every time I've seen him. Madison's stepped up a level. He looks just incredible now.
I didn't think they were. I mean, Postecoglou was annoyed with his team how they played a little bit against Fulham, and you can see what he's now demanding.
Yeah.
And in the press, he's saying, "Okay, we've had a good start. There's no point in just kind of going, yeah, isn't it brilliant? We're winning. Well, we are winning. Now we've got to keep doing that, and you've got to keep playing well. And look, Spurs were always, in charge in that game. Fulham, should have probably scored at some point, and I thought did okay. But their lack of goal scoring again was evidence to see. But Spurs just picked them off, and you would have fancied them to score had they not have been, handed the ball by Bassi on a couple of occasions. But Son still had a lot of work to do. It was a beautiful finish, and the Madison as well. I mean, those two are at the helm of everything that they do very, very well in an attacking sense, both on the score sheet, both throwing the darts. And, both are two of the inform and best players in the league right now, Jim.
Absolutely. And again, one of the things that's so impressive about Tottenham under Postecoglou is the sort of the swarm of them, that they just come at you and they press, and there's a sort of controlled whirlwind about the whole thing. And it's very, very impressive to watch. And particularly the way that a lot of these players were, had played under Conte and had seemed like dead wood, really, and that they didn't really have a huge amount of value for the level that Tottenham were aiming at.
Well, that's one of them off to Bayern Munich.
Well, indeed, Basuma is a great example of how he came in with a huge reputation. Everyone was really excited about it. It didn't really work out, and then under Postecoglou, he's exactly the player he was expected to be when he joined them, and he's very, very good at improving players. Clearly, very good at improving them quickly, and it has to be said as well. He knows how to win things. He knows how to see out tournaments,
and his attitude just drips that, doesn't it? He's completely even-handed the whole time, and he seems like a really feet on the ground, normal bloke who's got the control of everything that's happening. I also think that the big plus for Spurs as well, winning against Fulham, is the fact that Højbjerg played the game, and I think that there was a feeling among Spurs fans that if you lose Basuma out of there, what comes along after him is kind of a bit of a drop-off. And I think you could probably argue that in certain defensive positions as well. So it remains to be seen what will happen if they get perhaps a nasty injury or something, someone that keeps a defensive player out for a while, how they're going to deal with that. But Højbjerg was decent, good enough, and really that's what they want from a backup midfield player. He was able to shepherd them through and do what he does pretty well. I thought he actually played pretty well.
Is it a bit of a false dawn though for Spurs, simply because Liverpool went down to 10 men? Arsenal's probably the only decent side they've faced so far this season. They've had a bloody good run up to this point. I think they're going to have a very difficult Christmas period.
Well, I think that's a fair comment, that they've not had the toughest of starts to the Premier League season. However, you can only beat what's put in front of you and all that kind of stuff. But actually,
it's a hell of a platform, isn't it?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. They've built themselves a platform.
And also, they don't have European football, and they've gone out of the Carabao already.
That's what I was going to say. So Pete's
you say that as if it's a smart thing.
No, but it's an interesting. What's an interesting thing though, and Pete touched on it there. Weirdly enough, this is echoes of what Arsenal had last season. Quite an easy start to the season, no European football, and it seems to that the Spurs are basically replicating what Arsenal did in terms of the amount of points they're picking up. They have beaten Man United, lest we forget. Fairly make what you will of that, but they are still Manchester United.
Yeah. I don't think that's something to scrutinise too much about the start they've had in terms of fixtures, because we've said this about Liverpool, that some of the results have been a little bit better than the performances, taking nothing away from where they are in the league. And actually, they have improved from last season. With Chelsea, some of the results quite maybe didn't match the performances, in all this. Whereas Tottenham, the results and the performances have gone hand in hand. Yeah. And I think that's the difference. I think you would fancy them, even if they were away at Manchester City, you think, Tottenham have got a chance to get something here. And that's what they've done. So I don't think it's a case of, it's been an easy start. There are no easy games in the Premier League. There are easier games. But I think that is one of the things that is very attractive about Premier League football.
Also, the context in a season like that, where there's been a big change in terms of a new manager coming in, your sort of talismanic player has left, no European football, as we say. If they lose a game now, it's not like a house of cards is going to collapse, is it? Yeah. That momentum is there's a bit of give and a bit of leeway in terms of momentum.
They also
when
don't know
expectations are confusing.
They also don't know when they're beaten. They turn around against Sheffield United, 98th minute goal, 100th minute goal. Went down to 10 men against Luton, still scored with 10 men. I know it's Luton, not that good, but it was away from home. Could have been a sticky one. They still did it.
That's right.
So there's a lot to credit them, but I think Pete's spot on with what he says, that there are tougher challenges to come. But they can only do what they can do.
But we can say, they're winning games. They're top of the league after, 9 games. People say, is there any title talk? There won't be title talk just yet. It is too early. but just keep winning.
Yeah.
Just keep going. See where you are in a month's time, in 2 months' time. And
I disagree. I think you've got to respect the culture of the club.
And there's the dig, everybody.
Yeah, no, a warranted dig, because let's just not pretend that 9 Premier League games undoes all the hilarity we've seen before.
No,
it's a little plaster on the.
Look,
on
they're
the
having a little break from it.
Yeah,
You know,
but yeah, a little vacation.
Yeah, let's let them enjoy
but on
this
the
mini retirement. Okay.
Same holiday cottage, same fucking holiday cottage.
Yes.
Um,
We should say that was Jake Humphries interviewing
don't say it. Make the listeners
your
find out
friend,
for themselves.
your friend, and not mine, Gordon Ramsay.
I wish he was my friend. I love Gordon, but he's let himself down there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Fulham, though, Marcus, let's talk about Fulham for a sec. Marco
Yeah.
Silva's signed a new contract.
Big signing.
Fulham have had a bit of a stop-start season so far. Is that fair?
It's the goals. It's literally this Mitrovic not being there.
Yeah.
They've not replaced that, and
They've scored 8 goals this season.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think Fulham. I thought against Spurs actually. Considering Spurs' press is pretty good, I thought Fulham knocked it around at times very, very nicely, and they did create a few chances. Okay, maybe it was at 1 or 2-0 and so on. I looked at that performance and I thought, well, look at Spurs, they're flying high and so on. So I was encouraged in bits with Fulham's performance, but it is not scoring the goals. And Raul Jimenez had a chance against Spurs, and you're like, oh come on. Like, just get a goal, get a Premier League goal or any in any competition for Fulham, And
It was a bit of a risk, Jimenez, wasn't it? Essentially signing him in the hope that he could replicate his previous form, and by the sounds of it, it's not.
I quite like the
working
signing
so far.
because if he's there, you need to get reinforcements in. But it is that position where Fulham need to strengthen.
Yeah, they've also got a situation where they're 13th at the moment. As you said, they can't score. And the next 3 Premier League games are tough. It's like Brighton away, Man United at home and Villa away. You could see him getting nothing out of that.
Yeah, but also, though, and this speaks into what Silva's done and the side, I could also see them getting a result or 2, maybe. I don't think it's going to be 3 wins for crying out loud, but if someone said, oh, Fulham will get 4 points from that, I think that's believable. Maybe even 2 points from that, which wouldn't be a disaster,
Yeah.
So I think I wouldn't have thought Fulham would be worried about relegation this season, only because I think the bottom 3 are looking pretty poor.
Yeah.
Pretty bottomy.
Silva's new deal is good as well, because it suggests a forthcoming period of stability for Fulham, which is what they've needed for such a long time in the Premier League in particular. And it's not to be sniffed at, even if this season isn't as good as the last one, or is maybe unspectacular. That's still huge progress from just getting bombed out of the league.
Totally.
It's a great deal.
Yeah,
it's a red, white and blue deal.
It's a lovely deal. And I think with
Crucially,
Fulham,
it doesn't involve a border in the Irish Sea.
that's right.
Which is very important for Marco Silva and for Fulham.
It's very strange if it did involve that. I wouldn't understand it for a moment, but still. But yeah, no, I think with Silva, Fulham finished 10th last season. It was a great season. Having said what I said about, I don't think they're going to get relegated. I still don't, but. There is still that kind of
guess
make
what,
sure
though?
you stay in the league kind of
They're
thing.
1 point off 10th.
Yeah.
So it's not a disaster.
It's still in the hard grasp. Let's turn our attentions to tonight. Newcastle United versus Borussia Dortmund. The Champions League is back at
This is
St
the
James's
stuff,
Park.
isn't it?
Since the last time. Newcastle, top of the group of death, thanks to that 4-1 win over PSG.
Yeah, it's only a couple of matches, but a good couple of matches were had. And
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
bloody enjoying this little
PSG would have
adventure.
been, when people talk about teams that they would fancy for the Champions League, perhaps not as much in previous seasons, but PSG would maybe get a mention. AC Milan, they're not the side they used to be. Well, yes, Pirlo, Seedorf and Kaká don't play for them anymore, and they haven't done for a while, but it's still a decent AC Milan side who went far in last season's competition.
Also,
Newcastle got a point there, Jim
They
Campbell.
did, and there's this sense as well that everyone was excited about what St James's Park was going to be like in terms of the atmosphere for the Champions League, and everyone was like, oh, it's probably going to be a weapon. But now we've actually seen that it does turn out like that. It's going to be probably even more so tonight.
It is quite stark how different that atmosphere felt. Watching on television, I wasn't there like you guys, compared to how Newcastle United fans have been kind of thought of over the past few months. They have been known as being a little bit quiet and picking things up at the end of the match and stuff, but there's nobody that can deny what a huge difference that atmosphere.
It was incredible.
Let's get it right. That is their first home game in the Champions League for 20 years. And it was a famous night. That is a night that will ring out. If they lost that game in a damp squib of a match, 1-0 at home, people would still say, "Oh, it's a trivia question. Who was their first home game back in the Champions League? Who was it against?" People are never going to forget that.
That goes into the Tino hat trick.
It does.
It goes into all that.
There are 10-year-old
stuff.
kids at that game last week, and they're never going to forget it.
Now, of course, as time goes on, Newcastle would hope to be regulars in the Champions League, and if that happened, then that memory may not be cherished as much as the one from 20 years ago, or it was more than 20 years ago with Asprey's hat-trick because of the context. But you're right, Luke, that is a famous night. And even if Newcastle go out in the first round, people will go, yeah, but we've got the pedigree. And I think that's it. You get a huge scalp and play like they did. It wasn't a robbery, or it wasn't backs to the walls job. They comprehensively beat one of the big boys in European
But they should be
football.
approaching every Champions League match like that, though, shouldn't they? Really, I mean, the Premier League is such a strong league, and they play them week in week.
But they
out.
won't be scared, Peter. That's the thing. Against Milan, it was a
Nearly
kind of
Halloween.
It's nearly Halloween.
Spooky time.
Then that's the designated time to feel scared. But against Milan in the San Siro, there was an element of, I can't believe we're here.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Of course, there's going to be that. And it's kind of, okay,
Jacob Murphy smile at the Champions League.
but it was wonderful. But it's kind of like, let's make sure we give a good account of ourselves. Let's make sure that we don't get beat. You'll need Big Dan Burn because Nick Pope has got to have someone to aim for on those goal kicks.
Did you enjoy those lofted smashes?
It's amazing.
But you can't have a bigger target to hit, Popey. And,
Somebody made it. I think there's been a little bit of a redressing of amounts of how good Steven Gerrard's crossfield Hollywood balls were, because recently it was on Twitter. Somebody posted loads of videos of them. Like they're all like chest or head height for the person who's out of the way, and he's having to sort of really jump to kind of control the ball and stuff.
Tough crowd.
Having a go at Gerrard.
High standards.
Well,
so you want the
Champions
70-yard
League now,
raking diag to be
to the
right
feet.
on the foot.
Yeah,
Okay,
right on the toe, please.
I mean, Nick Pope might as well have one of those things at a car sale forecourt on the touchline, and he still
not going to hit it.
He still wouldn't hit his head. But I also wanted to say that Newcastle, after what they've done against PSG, obviously they shouldn't be frightened to play Borussia Dortmund at home. Dortmund are obviously a good team, but it stands to reason they shouldn't be intimidated. I remember Eddie Howe got quite a lot of stick, didn't he, around the start of the season because they lost 3 Premier League games in a row. And people were saying, what's happening? They haven't lost since then.
Yeah.
So they're obviously in great form as
Did you
well.
get lost then?
Yeah, that's how you would look at it, Pete, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see old Ed Howe met Kevin Keegan for the first time this week and was taking advice from old Keggy?
Yeah, see, this is the problem, isn't it? Rishi Sunak's woken up this morning and gone, you know what, Shona? I think we need to have another look at this Newcastle deal. It's out there now, isn't it? It's out there in the atmosphere. Over in Saudi, someone's going, Your Excellency, I don't know how to tell you this. The oil fields are dry. They're gone. We've got nothing left.
Yeah, someone salted the earth. Jim, it's like when the election comes around next year and Sunderland famously returns their result first, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tories thinking we need to start quick. We've got to start quick.
Talking a bad start.
Get after Newcastle. Yeah. Get after them. They're proud in a shed in the Northern Premier.
People
Still just Kieran Trippier marauding up and down the touchline on his own.
Well, I'm a bit worried because my mum and dad have been on that stage at the Tyne Theatre.
Have they?
Yeah. With us lot when we did the show there.
That's right.
Well, this is where Keggy met Edward, is it?
Yeah.
On the Tyne in the
Tyne Theatre. Tyne Theatre.
Yeah, okay.
It's a lovely old theatre.
Lovely, windy old venue.
Yeah. Shame it fell down though the other day. But no, it's a lovely place. But yeah, Keegan was on there, and he did say that. He said, "Don't go down to the steps and start explaining decisions to the fans and all that kind of stuff." I should have just
sold your best player.
After you've sold your best
Wearing
player,
a nice grey jumper.
Yeah.
So, but it's
Good advice.
It's quite odd advice, isn't it?
Specific advice.
Don't do the shit that's really obvious that you shouldn't do.
Ah, come on.
Just grow old and be sexist a bit.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of bants.
How do we know he wasn't always a bit sexist?
Well, don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I reckon though when he said that he was really trying not to sound.
Yeah, of course he was. Yeah.
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, Keggy, you silly old sod.
It's like you really indict yourself by accident. Like turning up to a first date, going, "I haven't killed anyone." But you probably haven't, but you sound like you have.
I think I abused them.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great example. A great example, and it should be a great game, Jim, tonight at St James's Park.
Cannot wait.
Looking forward to
Are
it.
you going to the game, Peter?
In my house because I got to do a Ramble Reacts afterwards.
Oh, lovely. So the listeners get to benefit from your wisdom. And your,
he had a ticket, but he went, "No, I'm doing a Ramble Reacts."
You don't have to have cans.
Titties.
You don't have to. Okay.
Sounds like a sentence I'd need to hear a bit more in my life.
So you don't like football and you just like cans for the football.
Elsewhere in the Champions League tonight, young boys host Manchester City.
Yeah, boring, isn't it?
Yeah, Manchester City unbeaten in 15 league games.
Yeah, boring.
They chose
Champions League games.
15 Champions League games. Thank you, Jim. They certainly not 15 league games.
Yeah.
They're going to get beaten though. They're going to get beaten by young boys.
I don't think they are.
Things that are boring about this.
Yep.
Man City.
Yep.
Playing someone who is nowhere near as good as them. Man City's stats, boring.
Yeah.
Let me
It's
show-
literally
let me-
man versus boys.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing ever.
Good.
Things that aren't boring about it.
Go on.
Wankdorf Stadium.
There we go.
Yeah, fine.
For some
Artificial
reason,
turf.
yeah, for some reason, despite all the fucking fiddling that the Champions League and UEFA do,
Careful.
they've somehow
The
managed to
young boy
allow.
Young boy fiddling.
Of all the words.
I didn't mean fiddling. I
didn't mean fiddling.
Admin. Of all that stuff they're doing, they've managed to allow an artificial pitch to be played in the
Yeah,
Champions League.
yeah.
You can't even have that in domestic football here.
I know.
I like it.
I do.
Smash it, break all of their knees.
It's like
Fiddling with the pitch, aren't
these
they?
days when someone puts together and sells in the idea of a plastic pitch, do you like? Would you like to have a pitch that doesn't need that much maintenance? Yes. Would you like all of your players to have crushing knee injuries at some point?
But it's
not really.
I find grass more troubling than
You would.
You're not a professional
yeah, you
footballer.
play
You
at different
stand-
I know, but I've got
you
bad
stand-
knees. I've got worse knees than all of them.
because all you do is pick the ball out the net.
It's bending over.
Yeah.
It's an odd one, isn't it? Because with artificial pitches, you think, well, if they're playing like northern Norway or somewhere, where
It makes sense.
where it snows in every month other than July for
Yeah.
about a day or two, whereas Switzerland's not quite like
It's
that.
not too bad, is
They're
it?
not
Yeah.
up the old mountains, are they?
They get warm summers for sure. And I think also I understand why you want artificial pitches that are much more playable now than they were when we were kids, for example. Remember
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sandy ones, the kind of first
Oh,
generation ones were
awful.
terrible. But at grassroots, it makes sense because it's a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
The problem you have in case Sunday football here, because of the climate, as you guys well know, is 2-3 months of the season, games just constantly called off.
Yeah.
And you end up playing double bankers at the end of the season. At this level, you don't need that. They should be forced to have a proper pitch.
Can you imagine if they played double bankers in the Champions
Are
League?
you mad?
It'd be great.
Hour each half.
Yeah.
Killer.
Never like that. I just one game, 6 points.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'd much prefer that.
Yeah.
I can't do 90 minutes. I ain't doing 2 hours.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The pitch was, of course, criticised when Manchester United lost there 2 years ago. Will it be criticised tonight? Depends.
It's south of Paris. Like, why are they allowed this?
They that Man United one was when was it Luke Shaw? I think he said obviously had particularly bad injuries in his career already. Who said this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous, quite frankly. But there we are. It's the Wankdorf Stadium for you, though. Of course, young boys could have done worse than listening to Gary O'Neill on Monday Night
Yes,
Football
he was
on
very
Sky
good.
Sports, analysing how Wolves beat Manchester City.
Yeah, he
Love
really
that.
sounded like England's next manager, didn't he?
Jim, like that.
God, look at Marcus spin around his
yeah,
chair.
now
here
you're
and that.
talking.
Yeah.
Now you're
Look,
talking.
Marcus
You are
like,
giddy, aren't you?
Well, I
I
like
know it's in your
then.
DNA, but
spun around.
Because I'm a bit worried after, I've always got England on the mind, as you know.
Yeah.
And now is the time to talk about England.
Well, do you know what? I don't mean listen. Gary O'Neill, cards on the table. Gary O'Neill
You're
has
a fan.
always been one of my favourite players.
Yeah.
He's got a similar age to me. Was playing for Portsmouth when I was going to watch them, so I was like, "Oh, what a legend!" kind of thing.
I remember you genuinely catching yourself saying that if Ronaldinho had trained like him, he'd have got more out of his career.
Oh, he probably would have. Yeah, Gary O'Neill's a legend, mate. He is, and everyone listening to this will understand what I mean with their particular club because they'll all have a player. When he left, I was just gutted.
Yeah.
Just absolutely gutted.
Same levels of Darren Anderson, levels of gutted.
I was younger then, so I was probably more gutted then because I just couldn't understand it. As like I think I was about 11 then, and I was like, "What's he got? What's he got? The Spurs? He's got everything he needs here." Do you know what I mean? Whereas with Gary O'Neill, it's like it was a pointless move. He didn't want to go to Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
His family, I don't think, even really settled there.
All right,
certainly
get
to
on with
start
it. No one cares, mate.
Yeah, well, I care.
Uh-huh. Still.
And it was great to see him actually doing amazing bits and like on Monday Night Football, Premier League manager. It was fantastic to watch. And also,
Same player.
He's got. I know exactly. He's got the air. He's got the
Same fucking player.
He's got the air. Yes, he's got the air of someone who looks really like they'd be quite thick, but he isn't thick. He's clever.
I think that's a bit harsh.
He's not. So he's clever.
Well,
Would you rather look thick? Listen, would you rather look thick? Actually, Pete, would you rather look thick and be
Outrageous.
clever, or the other way
You
around?
don't-
I'd like the
don't
duck-sized elephant, please.
Yeah, you don't have to choose.
Yeah. I think genuinely.
Yeah.
Can I just finish by saying?
Please say a bit more
Gary
about Gary
O'Neill.
O'Neill.
I
Who else
don't.
did you like in Portsmouth in the 90s?
The other things I want to say
Alan
about
Perrin.
that transfer, Gary O'Neill from
Yeah.
Portsmouth and Middlesbrough, I can't say,
Yeah.
but I thank every single person on Twitter who said it for me in the replies to my tweet.
Okay, there you go. Nice little mention for Alan Perrin there from Pete
Yeah.
Donaldson.
I was
Appreciate that.
going to point out that we are running out of Garys as a society, aren't we? People
Apparently
don't call their
so,
babies Gary anymore.
Ah.
And Gary O'Neill
Yep.
really does have the potential to extend the legacy of Garys in football.
Yes.
And I think that's a nice thing.
It's like a
Niels.
government policy to try and get people sort of breeding more, all that kind of stuff. We need more Garys.
Breeding more.
Get Garys.
I've missed this.
It's such a strange word to use.
Well,
Breeding.
Yeah.
Breed. Let the people breed.
Sadly, it's happened.
So, apparently in 2015, only 28 Garys were born,
There you go.
We need
as reported by the Daily Mail.
I mean, from Gareth to Gary.
So the Garys that are around need
It's a
to be
progression,
good.
is it not?
It is.
Needs to be good.
No, it's a shortening.
Yeah.
Stronger Garys.
The ones we do have need to be great. The pressure on those Garys
Yeah,
born in 2015 is massive.
Indeed. Gentlemen, I want to finish saying that elsewhere tonight, Atletico Madrid travel to Celtic Park. And now, during the last Champions League match day, Diego Simeone was asked about pushing Feyenoord coach Arne Slot after a friendly 2 years ago. He replied, "I did it because he said I was frustrated and got angry very easily." More of that tonight, please.
Yeah.
It's funny because Simeone on the Beckham documentary came across as really well, jovial, laughing. I thought, this guy's very different in the
He
dugout.
probably had a sedative.
Yeah, maybe.
Diego Simeone, in that documentary, absolutely loved talking through the Beckham sending off.
I think he stole the show.
He loved it.
He stole the show.
I'm not. By the way, guys, I won't be doing it in English, so you're gonna have to translate. And I'll tell you how much of a fucking lovely time I had doing it. Thank you very much. And no, I don't regret it. What's next? For those, sorry, Peter, I was going to say, Arne Slot mentioning him. For those, I get a lot of attention. A lot of people tweeting me about Big Pav, the famous Big Pav,
The goalkeeper.
Yeah, if you want to know what Big Pav looks like, it's basically Arne Slot.
All right.
Right.
So there you go.
Marcus, did you see the K-pop group that turned up to a gig in Dallas at the Dallas Rangers Stadium, dressed as Glaswegian football fans?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yep. There we are. Thanks for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. Join Pete and Vish tonight for Ramble Reacts after the Champions League. Patreon subscribers, don't go anywhere. Keep listening for Ramble Uncut. If you're not signed up yet, get over to Patreon by hitting the link in the show notes. Also, follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Football Ramble. And don't forget to subscribe on your podcast app. Thank you, Luke Moore.
Thanks.
Thank you, Pete Donaldson.
Keep breeding.
Thank you, Jimmy Campbell.
I'm really talking about the Ramble Reacts tonight because I don't want you to be pissed, but I think more people will listen if you are.
I never drink in the house. I'm not going to be
I
pissed.
know, you're not allowed.
No, not allowed.
Only on your own.
Thanks for watching a clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're feeling extra generous, why don't you like this video? Why don't you like this video?